Good evening, everybody. We're a little bit earlier tonight due to the fact that the Plymouth meeting was cancelled. So if you were going to be sitting down to watch that on the BSN tonight, this is your other option. And I'm sorry. But I'm not sorry to tell you that we've got Paul Capaldi here with us tonight. Or, or, or there. There. There he is. Oh, he's in the workshop as well. Paul, you got them bikes finished yet?
Nearly.
Right, good. I see that one's done. Are you still working on the other one?
Yeah, I was going to get my hair cut. I'll go and get it cut at halftime and then show you the results.
Perfect. We're looking forward to that. Also on the show tonight, as I've put it on my Instagram, it's been on Facebook. I've shared it. Paul shared it. We've got a rider. We've got a mechanic extraordinaire who's been to all ends of the world doing it. We've also got a man who done some charity work for a great cause, the Speedway Riders Benevolent Fund. All round good guy, and yeah, nothing else to say. Mitchell Davey, welcome.
All right, how are we doing? Thanks for having us.
Not a problem at all. It's been great to have you on. So, Mitch, how long? Tell us for the start. Might as well go back to when did you first come to these shores?
First full season, 2008, a long time ago when I was just a young whippersnapper. Debut home match against yourself there, Mr. Greg Blair.
Oh, yes. Was that Glasgow Berwick, was it?
Glasgow Berwick. First match was away at Edinburgh, but my first home match was Glasgow v Berwick.
Oh yeah, and what happened in that meeting?
You caused a massive delay, mate.
I caused a massive delay, and would it not be if for that massive delay you wouldn't have met your now wife?
Oh well, yeah, but yeah.
I'm going to take credit for it. I'm going to say that Cupid flung that bow and arrow out, missed you and done it, but he managed to hit my leg and break it. But still, anyway, it was it was all history from there, wasn't it?
It was, mate. It was, and but I got my first heat win that day as well. Probably thanks to your delay, gave me a bit of time to change the bike setup and that. But
no problem at all. No problem at all. Yeah,
you're a godsend. You are.
Yeah, broken femur. I'll do anything for the boys. And after that, you spent what, 3 seasons at Glasgow? Would I be right in saying?
Yeah, 2010. We parted ways halfway through the 2010 season. Yeah, that's it. But yeah, no, it was good times, and then gave me a chance to have a few more opportunities with different teams.
That's right, and you see that happening quite a lot now, where I know a lot of fans will say that it's, riders are chopping and changing their clubs, but from a rider's point of view, you really do need to explore different tracks, just to bring yourself on. Staying at the same club for too long can cause issues. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. That's what, if you're a traveling fan and you travel to, all the different tracks in your league, you're going to know every one of them is different shape, size, different dirt texture. It's loads of different things that you need to learn, and you ride the one track too long, you're going to get good at your one track, but you're not really going to progress and learn on the tracks where you say might struggle. The big difference, like 40 minutes along the road from Glasgow, is Edinburgh, and it's a complete opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah, exactly. And then you go another hour down the road to Berwick, and again, totally different.
Yeah.
So
that's what Berwick was the black dirt when I first started. It was something
was that
special when you arrived there.
Was that really wavy on the back straight?
Yeah, like a motocross track. It was.
It was kind of like a whoop section going down there.
I remember, like Trent Leverington, Shane Parker, and Robert Kaiser in the team with us, and they all said, just try and come out of bend 2, get into a little wheelie, and you'll miss the second one, and just try and land into the third one. And I was like, what? And then did the first race, got arm pump, and went, okay, I see what they mean. You gotta try and time it. Yeah,
it was a funny old that straight. It did get you. I mean, I ran over my own foot on that back straight. My foot, when it hit the bumps, my foot went underneath the footrest, And I'll tell you, that caused a hell of a lot of pain. And I was quite pleased because I wasn't the only person to do that. Kenneth Bier once did that. He ran over his own foot doing exactly the same thing. Just whips your foot under. If you just, when you just move your toes up, just as you're trying to get that bit of lift, under it went. But luckily now the track's sorted out and it's not as bad. And again, you mentioned Edinburgh, you spent some time there. Is that where you think that things sort of kicked on for you?
Yeah, I'd say so. But I did a couple of months stint at Berwick. I did a 28-day contract at Redcar. But yeah, you speak to anyone and they'll say every time I sort of found my feet, I ended up off my feet in hospital somewhere. It was one of those ones. I don't know. I matured a lot, had good people around me, and just things were progressing. But yeah, that's what it's just racing.
Can I say, Greg, just one moment? Can I just quickly ask? It seems like Mitchell, you've got it. Dave Mitchell, yeah. I'm going to get really confused now because I know somebody called Davey Mitchell.
I get told that on the daily these days.
Yeah, but surely you've got it the wrong way around because you went from Queensland to Glasgow. Surely everybody in Glasgow would prefer to be in Queensland. How did you end up leaving Queensland?
I first I came over for a holiday when I was 16 with my parents. No, sorry, I was 17. Mm-hmm. And we did some touring around and rode a couple of different tracks, and I got interest from the Glasgow promotion.
Right.
Albeit I should have known what I was walking into, because when I'd organised to go there for a second half, it got rained off.
Oh,
so I should have seen what was coming a long time ago. But no, that's what. Every time the shop I work in now, someone comes in and goes, "You're supposed to be in Aussie, not here." I'm like, well, someone's got to go out when someone goes in. It's just the way the system works. It's got to come home to the motherland.
No, I suppose my question was more a case of, what is the Speedway scene up there in Queensland? Because you're quite near Northern Territory, aren't you, up at Townsville?
Yeah, we're in the northern part. What was it? At the time I was racing, we had 2 tracks within an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And the next closest track after that was, at that time, it would have been probably Maryborough, which is a good 10-hour drive for us.
Wow.
So the appeal, and you work Monday to Friday, or albeit I was at school at that time.
Mm-hmm.
School Monday to Friday. Dad was working, and he'd pack up work on a Friday and load the van up, and off we'd go for a full weekend tour. And then I think you'd make enough to cover your fuel money, and turn around and go back to normal work on the Monday.
Is it almost like leaving the UK? I mean, I've never been to Australia before. Is it almost like leaving the UK to head to Poland for a meeting? Is that sort of like your distance?
Yeah, I guess you could say on a weekend you would go from Glasgow to, depends whether you count the ferry trip or not, but to France to ride just for like one meeting on the weekend, and get I think it would work out probably about £8 a point or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's £8 a point, no travel, no tires, no nothing. Do it for the love of it, and hope you get better.
So and that is the main reason that we get so many Aussies, coming over. Pretty much if you don't, not to sound too harsh, but if you're riding a speedo bike in Australia, if you don't come to the UK or Europe, you've got no hope in being found, have you?
No, not really. That's what you sort of got to bite the bullet, come over, try and get noticed.
Yeah.
Again, experience different things to get recognized, to learn, to become better. But at the same time, you got to be fully prepared to dedicate yourself to it, because it's in Australia, it's simply you'd class it as a hobby. You don't make enough money to live off it, whereas you dedicate yourself to it here, you can become a full-time job.
I mean, sorry, once again, sorry to interrupt, Greg. I mean, how far west does Speedway go? Do you have Speedway in Western Australia and Perth?
Yeah, that's what they got their track at Pinjar Park. I've never been. I've never ventured that far. The furthest sort of I've been to is to Gilman in South Australia,
right?
Which is massive. People don't realize how big it was. Like big it is. I think when I met Donna, she came out to Australia with me one year. We drove 30 hours one way to the Australian title qualifier, and I missed out by 1 point. So I had to drive 30 hours home, and she wasn't best pleased.
Yeah.
But
I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, welcome to the size of Australia. And
it's massive. I remember the flight. I went from Edinburgh to Dubai, and then from Dubai to Sydney, and the second half of the flight was something like 14 hours, and 4 hours of that was flying over Australia.
Oh, yeah.
So if you can imagine taking off in the UK and flying for 4 hours, that would get you easily, say, to Turkey.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Tenerife.
Tenerife, yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
It's I think unless you've sort of experienced it like you have, Paul.
Yeah.
You like, I don't know. I remember like the first time I was flying home. You know, you look out and you're like, oh, we're over Australia now. It's not going to take long, and
yeah.
a couple of hours later, you're still going, and it's not descending anytime soon. You just gotta keep going.
Yeah, I must admit, I thoroughly enjoyed my 5 days there. Probably, I would have to say that what my second favourite sport after Speedway is ladies Aussies rules football. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. You know, taking big lumps out of one another at 2 a.m. It was brilliant.
You taking big lumps at yourself, Paul?
I sometimes. So Chris Black has asked, please ask him about the hat story.
That's not going to be the first question for Chris Black tonight, is it? Chris Black's going to try and do you dirty tonight.
Chris thinks I sort of done the Glasgow fans dirty back, what was that, 2013. I was sort of in between teams, and I had some silly hats made where it was like a beanie hat with my logo put on it, and it had like a fluoro yellow propeller on the top. And I went to Glasgow and, you know, sell them as you do. Greg, you're in the process of doing it at the moment. You sell your merchandise wherever you can.
Yep.
And yeah, I think it was like the very next day I signed for Edinburgh, which isn't best pleased by the Glasgow fans, but Chris loves that story. He loves the fact that I went to the stadium, sold my merchandise, and then signed for the opposition.
Because Chris and Matt, just from what I've seen, I've met the guy a couple of times. He's not the biggest Glasgow fan, is he?
Oh, huge fan, mate. You should see his bedroom walls, red and white.
Well, yeah. Well, he's either not a huge fan or he's obsessed with them.
Yeah, that's what he's about as like when he was.
It's like younger, Celtic and Rangers, isn't it?
Yeah, when he was like Chris is a Hibs man. Well, so he claims, but we found out when he was younger he had a Rangers sticker on his door. So maybe you know he's an Edinburgh fan with Glasgow Tigers sticker on his door. I don't know. I don't go to his bedroom
or dungeon.
Yeah. He'll be begging to be on here now to explain this situation, but I've just outed him on YouTube.
And Mitch, you'll have met a hell of a lot of people since you've come over here. I mean, it's pretty spectacular. The whole Speedway community, everyone that's involved in it. It's you know, you go to a place like the Black and Gold after a meeting, for instance, at Berwick. You go in there for one drink, and that one drink will last you about an hour and a half. Literally an hour and a half, because
it's hot by the time you get to the bottom of it.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, for example, I've been in the Black and Gold, and I've been like Mitch will say I'm going in for one, and I'll say I'm not. I'm going in for a lot more. And Mitch will say, right, I'll catch you later, I'll see you in a bit. And then half an hour goes by and I'll go to the toilet and you're standing at the door speaking to someone still. Or Donna's starting chatting to someone. You just can't get away. And that's the beauty of this sport, is that it's, you know, it's magical, isn't it?
It is special. It's something you can't quite put it across to people what it's like, but it is one massive family. You know, there's obviously the love and hate for, you know, everyone's individual teams and all that. But yeah, you can go to any track and you'll find people to, you know, they'll stand there and have a chat to you and things like that. I remember the first time I went to Eastbourne with Stoke in 2017. A lot of people say, "Oh, you know, Eastbourne fans, they'll hate you. You know, you're in that corner in the pits. They're going to shout abuse at you and everything like that." And I was like, "Oh man, I'm not looking forward to this." I went and I had a decent night. I had some good races against their boys, and Eastbourne fans were popping up in the fence going, "Great performance tonight, mate. Well done. You know, happy to see you here." And I was like, "Yeah, great, thank you." That's what I was like, taken aback, because you hear the stories that they're not going to be supportive because you're not a home rider. But yeah, again, it's the Speedway family. They appreciate what you do, and everyone can have a chat afterwards and a beer.
That is it, and that's the beauty of it. And the fact is that, like, if, say, for someone who's watching this tonight that doesn't necessarily go, you know, just goes to the meeting and then goes home, if they were to pop in to the bar afterwards, they wouldn't be standing on their own for too long. You know, someone would approach them. Usually you don't want to, you know, even if you want to go for a quiet pint after a Speedway meeting, is not the place to do it, because you'll get dragged into a table somewhere and you'll be talking about the 80s, the 90s, and whatever else, and it's brilliant.
If you go to the Black and Gold, you're lucky to find a table.
That's a fact.
You're normally standing up or standing at the bar, because as soon as you turn around, someone's, you know, you find someone that you haven't spoke to in a while, and you have a chat. You know, you talk about the meeting, you talk about what's going on. And
I'll give you a tip though. It's really handy if you've been riding, because I'll show you what I do. Right, this is what I do when I come to Black and Gold. So you come through the door, and you open the door and you walk in like that. So, "Oh, you all right?" "Oh, I just twinged my back when I was riding tonight." "Oh, here, have a seat." Champion. While you're on your feet, going up the bar and gets a Guinness. Cheers. Nice and easy.
Only you could pull that off, though. That's a special talent, mate.
It is. It's a way, you know, being deceiving and all that. So yeah, getting back to the whole Speedway thing for you, it was Birmingham would probably be. That was your last season when you rode for the Brummies, that was in 2018, I believe.
Yeah, that's correct, man. I was doing doubling up in the National League with Birmingham and in the top league with Swindon. So keeping busy and keeping down south.
And that season was going pretty well for you at that point, wasn't it?
That was going phenomenally well. That's what. I was having the time of my life. Everything was clicking. It was the most prepared I'd been for a season. Was with two great clubs, you know, great promotions looking after me. You know, sort of negotiating everything. I was Wednesday night at Birmingham, Thursday night at Swindon, so I could stay down south. It wasn't, you know, trying to cut down the traveling, and yeah, it was going really well. Especially at Birmingham. Around there, I think I'd maybe dropped 1 or 2 points all season long. So it was great. We had a great team and everything like that. So it was class.
And that would be at the time that you would have, you know, obviously sparked up a friendship with Leon when that'd be Leon's debut season in the National League.
Yeah, it was. He was just a young 15-year-old finding his feet in there, and we formed a great bond and partnership. I don't think we dropped a heat 14. I got the blessing of riding at number 4 early in the season. So
it's beautiful, isn't it? Number 4.
Number 4 is magical.
When I got moved from number 4 this season, I was like, I don't want 5. It's too much hard work.
Yeah, there's that pressure race. But yeah, no, that's what getting to ride with Leon. At that point, I was 28, he was 15, so it probably knocked a few years like off my age, just trying to keep up with the young whippersnapper.
That's right, and it's brought him on. I mean, to have, I don't know if you'd maybe seen it at the time, but I would say that your influence on him during that season would have been massive for his development. Just even the tiniest little things on how the bike setup was and where to ride in the track, and just listening to what was going on, it'll have been massive for him.
I don't want to sound, but that's what we had a great like partnership and bond, and we bounced ideas off each other. All meeting long. We went to a training camp with a lot of the Birmingham boys in Macon in France, and it started from there. We sort of did our own thing the first day, and then the second day, I jumped on the track at the same time as him and just like raced with him to try and push him, and we ended up doing like cutting each other up and dive bombing each other, and having fun with it. But it just meant that whenever we did a Heat 14, we automatically knew what each other was going to be doing. And
that's the beauty of it. It seems to have done. And then obviously during that season things went horrendously wrong, and things could have been a hell of a lot. I mean, it was bad, but things could have been a lot worse if you to look on the bright side of things. Could you just talk us through the injuries that you sustained in a crash, if you don't mind?
Appreciate this one, Greg.
It's what we all want to hear. It's what we all want to hear.
You want I'll forget something. No, that's what it was. Concussion, 12 broken ribs, broken shoulder blade, 3 vertebrae, and a punctured lung with like bleeding on the lung to go with it, and then resussed on the track by the paramedic Jason down there. Forever grateful to him. He was I remember when I went back a couple of weeks later, he said he's never been so scared. He'd been to motorsport events all his life, and he'd never been so nervous and scared at the same time. So thankful to him, and everyone at Birmingham Hospital for getting me sorted, and then Glasgow Hospital again for draining my lung when I got back up here.
It's mad. I remember obviously that round about that time I wasn't having too much to do with Speedway, but I always kept an eye on like your mates that you've from years ago and stuff like that. And I remember seeing something on, I think it was Facebook or Instagram, and seeing that you had been in a bad crash, and just like it stops you in your tracks. And it's the same now. If it's horrible when it happens, when a rider's had a bad injury, but when you've got a connection with that rider and you see it's happened, it's come up, or you've heard it stops you. And I remember thinking, oh shit. I mean, the media do make it out to look worse than it is, but yours wasn't really made out to look worse than it was, because it was pretty bloody bad.
That's what at the time I had obviously no idea what was going on. First thing I remember wake up in ICU, I think it was Kev Doolan talking to me. That's a voice you don't forget when you're waking up. He was there. My parents were over from Aussie at the time. And I remember hearing like Kev, and then Gary, and then Leon as well. They're all up there. That must have been about 5 o'clock in the morning or something. Kev helped my dad load the van, and he drove it to the hospital. But yeah, just Kev's husky voice, it sticks with me. You just hearing it there.
That husky voice. It should have been a bloody sight. Sounds like he'd be a good singer, actually. Just Kev Doolan.
You never know. He's trying his hand at everything at the moment, isn't he? Out back. There's hope. You'll see him on Australian Idol shortly.
Yeah. And then when, like, obviously after that, would I be right in saying you've only been on the bike once since?
We'll go twice. Once publicly. Twice I got back on just before the playoffs started in 2018. I was asked if I could do the playoffs for Swindon, and I said I'd try riding a bike. So I went to Duns, had a little skid, and my shoulder was just way too weak, and and the fitness was gone. Obviously, trying to do all that recovery and that. But yeah, 2020 during lockdown, the Greg Blair comeback story. I hired the track at Redcar because as most people were bored, stuck in the house. So got a group of 10 boys and we went for a play down at Redcar, and that was the last time I was back on a bike.
Yeah, that was it was quite a day. That I was quite glad to be pitted with you there next to you, because I don't think I've ever been as nervous to put my leg over a bike in my life. It was.
Okay. I was very nervous as well that day.
For yourself or me?
For myself, and then you kept going, "Come on, Mitchell, I'll race you." No, Greg, it's not happening. And then the one time you went out on track with me, pretty soon you ended up dirt sampling, was it?
Yeah, I was just checking to see what the first bend was like close up.
I remember I pulled up on the back straight and just heard the bike stop. Well, the sort of the free rev of the engine, and then like the scraping across the ground of the bike.
And then bollocks. And Donna had just missed it on video, which I was chuffed to bits about. She just stopped.
I had my GoPro on too, and I think it was on the handlebar. I was facing backwards, but you were just out of shot. Otherwise, it would have been magical.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it plenty of times now for everybody to see. That was the first one. It was good to get it out of the way, though. It's mad to say, but you know, when you've, especially if you've had a long
way, they don't do it after that. You just
still there. Look, it's getting better, but it's still there.
You got to stop finding these pound coins on the track, mate. You have to dive on them every time.
No. Hey, you know, in this day and age, and the way that the current climate is, you need to get all them quids. So I will jump off the bike at whatever speed to get a hold of one of them pounds. But yeah, and I saw a message popped up there for Chris Black, was saying that you're too modest. Can you get that back up again?
Yes.
Yeah, Mitch is too modest. Mitch won't agree, but Stephen Lumsden would say that Mitch was a huge help when he began sparring for Max Frick. His knowledge is first class, and I will agree on that. That it is like I've had you in my pit crew on a night. Everybody that has had, you know, I've had meetings at Berwick where I've texted you to say, oh, could I get a hand tonight? And you're like, oh no, somebody else has already booked me for the same meeting. It's everyone wants a bit of Mitchell Davey, the chips and gravy. It's and it is
none of
right
them
enough.
Can do the accent, can they, Greg?
No, no, they can't. I mean, it is a fact. You're. I think it's the whole fact of the calmness. You know, when things are going wrong, you don't get rushed. I've watched you, and the way you work on a bike is as if you've just turned up at the meeting and the rider's done the track walk and said, oh, shorten it or put another, you know, take a tooth off. You'll do it at the same speed as if you will if it's on 2 minutes and the bike's always out. And I think that in itself is, if you start to rush, that's when things go wrong. It's the same with everything. If you're in a panic, you've just got this level-headed smoothness, and I think it's brilliant to watch. And even to have you, I always go better when I've got you in my pit crew.
Drew, hear you say that?
Drew knows it. Drew says it. He's probably watching. He is your biggest fan. I don't know if Speedway mechanics have a fan club, but if they do, my dad is #1 fan of Speedway mechanic Mitchell Davey.
No, that's what. Well, you say I'm nice and calm on the outside. You should see me on the inside.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but
I can imagine.
It's all about being composed. And I helped Stephen Lumsden at first when Max Frick came over. He was mechanicking for him, so I took him through the basics. Took him, just taught him how to do things. Like, everyone will find their own way of doing things when you're working on a bike, but just the basics, the knowledge, just the right things to say to riders to find out, or to make the rider think about what they're doing. To assist with bike changes, it's massive. But I enjoy it. I seem to be able to tell people what to do better than I could do it myself. So
yeah, it's funny that, isn't it? How
that's right.
And I mean, easier said than done is exact fact of that matter. I mean, I can come back in after a race and speak to you, and you would say, well, do you want to try this? And I've got that trust where it's just like, well, yes, let's try it. And then there's other times where you've done something and not told me until after the race. And went, well, what did you think of that? Like, oh, yeah, I felt it a little bit more. Oh, yeah, well, I did it. Well, hello.
Hey! let me get Luna. You're chasing.
That's been a while. It's been a while since he's done that. He just came out of nowhere there.
Is that true?
But yeah, it's great to have you in the pits. And I mean, you're mechanicking. I mean, you've been to Russia for the Speedway of Nations. What was that like to be at that sort of level?
Nervous, because all the rest of them are Polish and they don't really speak a lot of English. So it's nerve wracking being at those meetings. I was lucky enough. The year I got hurt, when Craig signed for Glasgow, he asked me to help out, and I must have only been with him 2 or 3 weeks, and he's like, "I'll book you a flight. You come to the Grand Prix with me." And I was like, "But you've got mechanics there." He goes, "It doesn't matter. Just to talk things through and everything like that." I think I ended up cleaning his race jackets and his neck brace at that meeting. That was as far as my hands got dirty. But yeah, just talking ideas through, and you can see things watching from the outside that riders can't see when they're on track. As a rider, you're in a 60-second sprint essentially, so you're not picking up everything. You're not picking up what lines are working, what lines aren't. So you can feedback to the rider what's working, what's not, and try and get the best out of whoever you're helping.
Exactly that, because I mean, sometimes you do have the issue. In Speedway, is a nightmare because, say, if I've got you in my corner, if I've got Kev Little with me, I'll only listen to that one person. But sometimes you get far too many people come in, and they usually are just saying the same thing, but sometimes it can be totally different. And as a rider, I know that all them guys are trying to do is just to help you out because they're nice people and they just want to help you. But sometimes too much information, your head's spinning. I've been at meetings where I've had guys saying, just no throttle at the start line, just no throttle at the start line. And then I've had other boys saying, have it bouncing, and it's like, well, where do I go? Do I go halfway and keep them happy? Because somebody's going to be pissed off when I go back to the pits. Like, what do you want me to do? So having someone like what Craig's done and having you there at that meeting just to talk things through, it's just sort of like it's like a comforter, just having someone like yourself there, because you can feel quite on your own having to make decisions instead of just telling the mechanics, I want you to do that, I want you to do that, without having someone there to say, well, help.
Yeah, and it's a forever learning game. That's the biggest thing. A lot of people go, I've got to set up the works. Well, it's still not going to be perfect. You can always chase more, and exactly. It's about just pushing the boundaries of what you think, or maybe even doing the complete opposite of what you think is working. There's always room, but you got to have someone to talk it through, and this would be a positive to like a full gas start compared to a no throttle one. You got different, the way the bike reacts, the way the clutch feels is different, judging the amount of revs that's going through the engine at the time the clutch engages. And certain riders will like a certain feel out of the start. You get them to change that. It's like, whoa, too much. Don't do with it. So it's an awkward one, but yeah, just to talk it through and say, is it worthwhile trying it? Is it,
instead of just saying do it.
Yeah,
Greg,
do that.
Greg, can I just ask then, because you're kind of touching on something that we were talking about just after the under 19 championship, and that was basically the team manager. Is he the mentor? From what I'm hearing now, your mechanic is also your mentor, isn't it?
Yeah, depends on. Yeah, you can't. The thing is, you can't be a good Speedway mechanic without knowing how Speedway works. It just doesn't. It's not a thing. You have to have a bit of knowledge, and you need that trust in your mechanic. You have to be able to ask, what should I do now? Because if you've got someone there who's supposed to be mechanicking for you, and you say, what do you think I should do now? And if they haven't got a clue, they're probably not the person to be in the pits with you, unless they're just putting fuel in the bike. Anybody can do that. I can put fuel in the bike, and I'm a terrible mechanic, probably because I get too stressed, just far too stressed. I'll tell as a fact, right now, I'm usually chilled out and I'm not bothered about anything at all. Last year, I put my wheel to the side for an RR. So for like people who don't know, if you're a number 8 in a Speedway meeting and they're running rider replacement, there's that 7th tire. So the riders who are taking the RR ride get to use that wheel with the new tire on it, so that they're not burning off theirs.
Yep.
And I changed the tire and put the tube in, and I remember it was Leon that went out in the RR ride, and I got a sweat on just thinking, if that tube bursts, if I've nipped that tube, or if something goes wrong, he could lose or crash, and it's all my fault. And I was stressing, and it was at that point I realised I will never ever be a Speedway mechanic, because me worrying about a tube, Mitch has got to think, have I checked the pressure in the back? Like, have I checked the back pressure in the back tire? Is the back chain like tight enough, or is it too slack, or is the front chain all right? Is the clutch all right? Have I put fuel in it? Have I turned the oiler on, or put the chain oiler on? It's just little things like that. Is this tight? Is that tight? Because at the end of the day, if you make a mistake, let's not beat around the bush. You could seriously injure or kill someone if you don't do your job properly.
But Greg, is this a checklist that's written down, or is it just off the top of likes of Mitchell's head?
Mitchell will tell you.
Yeah, it's a. As soon as I push whoever the rider off, I run through a massive checklist in my head. Just bang, bang, bang. Is this done? And that done? And just. It becomes autonomous, like, with time, but you can never get too comfortable with it, because, like Greg says, you got someone's life in your hands. But yeah, I remember the first time I mechanicked, I was like, I'll be a rider any day over a mechanic. The stress levels as a mechanic compared to a rider is through the roof. And just back to a question I seen pop up that Joe asked.
Yeah, I'll pop that back up.
I was going to say, he put me through my paces at Berwick. This was one of those situations, Greg, where you asked me, but I was already assigned to helping someone else,
And you wish you took it on with me.
When I was sweating, it was.
And you're looking over at my pit crew, and I'm sitting there drinking a Red Bull, and everybody's just wandering about.
Yeah. So Joe went out. Heat 3, I think he's riding at number 4, I think, that day. Went out Heat 3, won it, but his bike broke down as he went across the line. To run to the back straight, collect the bike, get it back in. Immediately your clutch coolers on, you're putting methanol in it, because that's the most important things. And then I had to ask him what happened with it.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I did this, I did that. So we immediately knew it was an electrical fault.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said to him, do you have a spare ignition? He said, I've got the top, but I don't have the bottom. I said, well, I'm not doing one and not doing the other. So between heat 4 and I think he must have been heat 6 or 7 that day, we swapped a full ignition system between the two engines.
Wow.
Fired it up, and I almost pushed the limits and said, "Can I flip your edge at the same time?" But I figured I would have pushed Joe over the edge if I asked him if I could do that. But yeah, it's when it goes wrong. That's when stress levels is through the roof, especially if you don't know the problem. I was just recently, I helped Jordan Jenkins last Friday at Edinburgh. He was on the start line and the bike cut out, and we got the bike back, and he's like, "Oh, I thought it was ignition." So immediately we were going to do a spark plug, try and fire it up. And then luckily Charles Wright spotted that there was methanol leaking out of it, and it was a simple thing like a fuel hose had split and just emptied his full tank on the start line.
Oh,
so something so simple, but yeah, just the wrong diagnosis, and we would have spent an unnecessary 20 minutes or so changing an ignition when
to then find out there was no fuel.
Yeah. And that was thankful that it was spotted real quick. But yeah, it's in situations like that where, well, you go, I'd rather be a rider.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes with situations like that, you'll not necessarily check the simple things first. You would just think it must be major. It has to be major. I mean, it's happened to me twice this year. Once at Berwick, I won a race, and I come over the checkered flag into the first bend, and I went and twisted the throttle, and it just like cut out, and it wasn't fuel. It was electrical, and I thought, what's going on here? And I looked down.
That was the night I was there, wasn't it?
Yeah, the plug cap come off.
Yes.
How, like, after the race, how lucky that was.
Yeah.
And then again, you were watching it when my bike cut out over the start-finish line after winning a race at Plymouth.
Yes.
Came back in, and Leon was mechanicking for me, Crangy, and he was doing bits for Mason as well, so he was rushed off his feet. And Leon said the only thing Leon wanted me to do that night was just, I'm really busy. Could you just do your fuel? Could you just do the fuel? And I was like, yeah. I says, it'll not matter. One tank of fuel will probably do me 4 heats at Plymouth. Well, I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that it'll do you 2, but just 2 heats. Because
a rerun and you were ruined.
Oh, so it came in and we were checking, and Jamie Courtney had said, is there a split in the fuel line or something? Is that what's up? Because we're going to fire it up again. And I went, oh, can't. And Leon was like, you did put fuel in it, didn't you? And I'm like, And I'll tell you something, that would have lost us the meeting, because that meeting ended, I think it was 46-45.
45-44, wasn't it?
Yeah. 45, 40, sorry, yeah. So yeah, if I had run it, we would have lost that meeting, and I'd have gotten a big bollocking for that.
I was going to say, see if you said then that it was Leon's fault. I was going to say I taught him things as a rider, not as a mechanic. That's not on me.
Oh, never blame you for that. But it's have you, like, in that mechanics, like we were saying about things going wrong, because usually, I do it myself because I understand the pressures that mechanics are under, and I always thank my mechanics. And even when I put a post on Facebook, I'll always thank them because I know the pressure that they're under. Whereas you do see a lot of lads will just like only talk about the mechanic when something's went wrong. Have you ever had a moment where you've had to run out on the track? Because I've had this before where I've been at the tapes and somebody's like pointed and I've turned around and here's Drew coming running out with some methanol. He's not sure if he's topped it up or whatever. Have you ever had that moment where you've had to run the track because something's went into your mind and you've thought, shit?
Yeah. My very first season mechanicking for Klaus Vissing in 2014.
Oh yeah.
That's what that day was. had like it was a bit of a manic day, and someone had the primary chain off spraying it, and didn't put the circlet back on.
And did you see the circlip?
I seen the circlet. I ran. It was at Glasgow, and Klaus was riding for Berwick. I ran from the Glasgow pits down across. Well, at that time I couldn't run because I still had a broken femur, so I sort of hop, skipped, ran the full way across, ripped the primary chain cover off on the start line, put the circlip on, put the primary chain cover back on, still made it for his 2 minutes.
Oh man.
Never again did I want to do that. That was, next level.
That's horrible. And for the rider, for Klaus to see you coming over with the circlip pliers and the circlip, he must be thinking, "Fucking hell."
No, it's not something nice. It's it happens, but that's what. That's what. It's one of those glad. Well, you're glad you noticed it. Could it have come off? We don't know, and I don't ever want to find out.
No. But it wouldn't have been pretty. It would have been a primary chain coming off. Any chain coming off's bad, but the primary chain, one, it sounds expensive, and two, it's usually when you're going into the corner, is when you lose a primary chain, and that's when you break a collarbone. The amount of collarbones that a primary chain have caused is ridiculous.
Yeah, and then you also got is a joyous, like, where your body, your momentum's, going with the bike, and then the bike sort of stops. Your gonads take a hit, and then you get a little speed wobble afterwards. And if you stay on, you're lucky. If not,
it's funny because it's always in slow motion as well, isn't it?
Have you nipped to Sydney for your haircut, Paul?
I have indeed, yes. Seeing as you're in Glasgow, I might as well nip over to Sydney.
How are you getting on with that haircut anyway, Paul?
Well, do you want to see? Go
on then, let's have a look.
Come on then. So this is, I asked for Greg Blair.
This is a Greg Blair haircut. There's you can go to the barbershop and ask for one of these.
Yeah.
Well,
they do them everywhere on the borders.
Okay.
Oh, hello.
Oh, there. Oh, yes. That is amazing.
Yeah, look at that, eh? It's just like you can just put it wherever you want. We'll just.
I mean, to be fair, he has adopted me, so yeah.
I have. Yes, that is official. Yes, I have.
He asked my dad. He asked my dad if he could adopt me, and my dad didn't even let him finish speaking. Just said yes.
Yes.
Just, take that off my plate.
Oh, that is brilliant.
I wonder if he must be watching Drew.
Aye.
Or no, what time is it? Oh, it's 5 to 9. He'll be way to bed.
Oh, man.
Oh, tough.
Only stays up late at the weekend. So So also I've written it down and I was meant to ask you. How is Craig after that accident on Sunday at Redcar?
Battered and bruised. He was still pretty tender from his crash a couple of weeks back. He, strangely enough, only just prior to that race said his thumbs were starting to stiffen up again. But he was going to obviously battle on. He was having a good night. Things were going well, and
he was on a maximum at the time, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's the gutting feature. But again, it's Speedway. But for the best part, I think he's okay. Again, another a week off rest wise. Hopefully he'll be feeling better and back on. But mind you, I said to him, like, you have 3 weeks off and you come back on that form, you can probably have 3 weeks off in between a lot of meetings.
Yeah, exactly. I know it was a surprise. To be honest with you, I mean, again, I always say it, no disrespect to any riders at all, but you would have thought that it would have been roles reversed between the two number ones. You would have thought that Craig would have been on the form that Righty was on Sunday night, because he wasn't firing on all cylinders, whereas Craig was just riding like he'd never been away, and it was mad that.
it was so bizarre. Before the meeting, I was, had me usual chat with him and said, what do you want to do? He goes, I just want the bike as easy as possible to ride.
Yeah.
And so we did that, and it was on the money. It made it easy. It was working well from the starts, and yeah, sometimes you don't have to have the bike set up super aggressive.
Do you think that is a thing nowadays? Because and we always talk on here about like the modern bike and how difficult they are to control when things go wrong. Do you think that maybe just going back to basics, stripping everything back and just setting the bike up to be like Craig told you, just to be easy to ride. Do you think that maybe is something that more people should do instead of turning up to a meeting with a bike that's I've done this to it, I've done that to it, I've done that to it, and then you see it sometimes the rest of the night they just go on taking all that stuff back off to try and make it easier.
Yeah, Speedway is like 100%. It's a comfort game at the same time. The bikes aren't comfortable.
No.
Anyone tells you riding a Speedway bike's comfortable, they got rocks in their head. Even when a fan comes and sits on, so they come and they immediately sit on the seat and they go, "Oh my god, it's hard." You're like, yeah, everything is designed hard on a Speedway bike. So, maybe sometimes making it easy. If you can make the bike easy to ride and the rider can just race the bike rather than the bike racing the rider.
Yeah.
It's massive, and it builds confidence knowing that you can do what you want with the bike. You can move your body position around on the bike and it's not going to do something reactive or pull you towards the fence. It's massive. It's
easy to tell. I mean, it's a small tell of my own. For any fan at Berwick watching this, if they see me staying away from that outside dirt line, then there's a high possibility that I'm not 100% comfortable with that bike on that night. And you can tell when a rider is at one with the bike. Look at, like I love to do it, Leon does it, and Bomber getting away out on that bank and at that third and fourth and just throwing the bike in and letting it run and you're not turning that hard. That's when you're at your most comfortable. But you can totally tell. I don't know if it's just a rider's point of view or if other people can see it as well. You can tell when a rider's not happy with their equipment, even if they're out in front and they're making a hard time of it. And again, that's coming back to who you've got in your corner on the night, because you do need these people around you to set that bike up to how, especially if they're an ex-rider of, I would have it like this. It works out. Do you often say that, Craig, that even now, how long you've been with them, is there ever any arguments at all, or does he do what he's told?
No, not all the time. That's like it's always Craig's choice. But at the same time, like I'll throw the opposite idea out, or a what if at him to get him to think about it. Sometimes to break the habit of, oh, we've done that before and it worked. Sometimes it's not always going to work. But like you were saying about like the bikes being uncomfortable to ride, I helped Brock Nickel a few weeks back when Glasgow came to Berwick because Craig was injured, and Brock was doing well that night. And I told him, you got to be on that dirt line. It's the quickest way around. And he went to it, and the bike was very twitchy. And he come in and he goes, "That's not comfortable." I said, "Well, what if you do this?" It was just a jetting change. I said it might level the bike out, not make it as reactive. So he's like, "Okay, let's try it." And he went out there. I think he won, or got a 5-1 with Ulrich Ostergaard. And he come back in and goes, "Oh my god, that was so much better to ride."
And a tiny little thing like just changing the jetting.
Yeah, it was minuscule, but it just changed the way the bikes react in certain scenarios.
Yeah, and that's again Chris saying about the knowledge that you've got. It is mental. He's also put a comment up now saying, "How much money will it take me paying Mitch to get Cookie to come home? I don't want another winter of discontent."
Well, that's not my choice. That's Craig's choice, and whoever offers him a contract. That's nothing to do with me.
Chris, are you not happy with Sam Masters and Pickering? I mean, for Christ's sake, you've got a hell of a team.
He's that greedy. He'd run all three.
Oh, unbelievable! You've got an absolute class team, but no, still wanting more and more and more.
I mean,
oh, go on.
I mean, here's a question for you, right? Have you ever seen one team go out against another and every single rider in the top 5 score a maximum?
No, not in my lifetime, and I'm not sure I will.
Greg?
No, but I've heard of it.
Oh, I've seen it.
I was going to say I've heard of it a lot. I've heard a lot of stories about Exeter, and I think it wasn't. I don't think it was the other team were worse.
Berwick did it once.
I think it was just
exactly.
They didn't want involved.
No.
If it was a genuine meeting.
No. So hold on a sec. There was a famous 91 Bellevue when Bellevue never turned up, and Berwick had to go out on track and still raise 5-0. And then against Exeter, there was the famous time when they refused to ride. And again, the referee said, well, the track's okay, you go out and ride. And so it was a 0. But in 89, Berwick beat Exeter 78-18. And every single one of the top 5 scored maximums.
That's
bloody hell.
That's something special. Especially when you hear that it's Exeter, because no one liked going to Exeter. But for them to turn around and come to Berwick and not want a bar of it.
The headline, can you remember what the headline was for when Bellevue didn't turn up at Berwick that night, Paul?
I don't.
It was in the local paper, and it was an absolute belter of a headline. Obviously, I was only like a year old or something. I was told this. The headline was, "Where the Bell were view."
Yeah.
Absolute cracker of a headline.
That sounds like one of George Dodd's headlines, doesn't it?
It probably was George Dodds that did that, actually. Where the Bell were view.
Or Keith Hamlin.
Was the going off topic, was the riders not packing up with engine failures just to keep their averages down?
No. It was a league meeting, right? And it was quite early on in the season. And what happened was that the tapes packed up. So the referee said, right, we're going to go on the green light. It's going to be the red light. When the green light goes on, you go. If anybody jumps the start, I'm going to pull it back. And that's what they did. They didn't bother with the start because the tapes had packed up. There'd been a bit of a delay. But I remember Andy Campbell afterwards saying to me that there was huge pressure on every one of the top 5 to complete the maximum, which they duly did. Because, as you say, Exeter, Berwick, County Ground, Berrington Lough, there couldn't be more of a contrast. I mean, look, let's put it this way. Exeter were quite happy giving other teams a good kicking when they came to Exeter. So it was only fair that they got a bit of the taste of their own medicine.
I was going to say, it would have been a great night to be being part of Berwick that night, and just to tell them, if you want to play that game, we can do it too. Thanks for coming.
Exactly. Yeah.
Have you ever seen did you ever go to the Exeter track, Mitch?
No, I've only heard stories about it.
Yeah.
And was that would be gone? Would that be long gone before you came over?
Yeah, I think so. That's what Oxford had just closed down. I think the year before I came over.
Right, yeah.
Well, they rode their last season the year before I started. Right. I think I got to ride Reading before that closed once.
Smallmead, yeah.
Yeah, that was a great track. I love that one. That was really good. But Exeter is not one I've seen, or I've seen videos and heard stories from Lee Kilby because his dad Bob raced many years at Exeter, and then also my father-in-law Colin, he raced there, and needless to say, he was scared of it.
I think the one video that does stick into mind is Joe Screen at Exeter, and who is it that he comes and rides past and takes their hand off the handlebar? That was at Exeter, was it not? I can't remember who it was.
Ooh.
And they were in the Grand Prix together on the Saturday. They were riding in the Grand Prix with each other on the Saturday. I'm sure that was. Somebody will come up in the comments. Marty will appear now. I'm sure.
Greg, I think that was Hull. I think that was Hull, and it was Jimmy.
Oh, was it Hull? Jimmy Nielsen. There you go.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I thought it might have been Exeter, but it could have been.
Greg, get your tracks right, mate. Get your tracks right.
And I mean,
apologies.
Jimmy Nielsen, he never ever got annoyed, did he? But he was absolutely livid after that. He was interviewed on Sky and everything, and he was fuming about it.
Coming on, talking to tracks, Mitch. I mean, we'll start obviously with a negative, and then we'll go to a positive. What is your? Hang on, before we go, I've got Colin Easton here. What about your first class shipper heading to Kingsland the night your van broke down? Far better service than AA. I think Colin picked you up one night, did he?
Yeah, so I was riding for Coventry. It was my first year back after my femur injury, and we were parked up on the side of the road, breaking down, and Liam Carr and Colin drove past, waving, and then I got a phone call saying, "Oh, you's broken down." Yeah. So Colin dropped Liam off, set him up, and then flew back down. We must have been about a good 45 minutes out of Kingsland still.
All right.
And yeah, Colin drove like a madman, probably set off 1,000,001 speed cameras along that road. And by the time he got back, I was dressed on the side of the road. Bike was warmed up, ready to go. Loaded that into the van. My wife Donna had to wait with my van. Again, my dad was over at that point. Everything seems to happen when my dad was over. But he came with me and Colin. I think my mum jumped in as well, and went to the track. Ellis Perks was guesting for us that day, and he did a brilliant job of kicking off, saying the sun was in his eyes, and got the meeting delayed so that I got there for my first race. But it wasn't all fairy tale. Like Colin, everything fell into place. Colin picked us up, drove us back. Everything was ready, and I think I missed the start. I the completely wrong setup on, but had to wing it and go out. And I think I may have got a third. So the fairy tale didn't quite complete, but the service was sensational from Colin.
I do like them, like little things, little tricks that you can do in Speedway to delay a meeting or stuff like that. I remember my favorite one that I ever did was just thinking on my feet. It was Berwick Redcar last year, and it was proper sticky at the start. I was off gate 4, and my steel shoe came off on the start line. So I'm like, Drew, get in here, steel shoe. So he's putting the steel shoe on, and he never got it strapped up properly. And I knew it was going to come back off again. And I was like, oh no. So I just accidentally rode through the tapes, just a little bit with the front wheel. Oh. And the start marshal just went like that, got us to turn round and gone back to the pitch while they got tightened up again. And I rode back in.
So you didn't do it under the green light, so you didn't get excluded for it?
No, just like rode over the top of the tapes.
Just enough to
break them, like, and the start marshal sent us back up, and then I was just like kind of like laughing under my helmet. My dad just was like, I was like, get this steel shoe put on properly. But like I leaned the bike up and didn't have a hold of the clutch, so it kind of went away like that, and I was like, oh, sorry, and then went way back, and Leon was just like, I like that a lot.
They should have done you for delaying the start. That's what they should have done.
That was an accident, though. I didn't mean it.
I was going to say, is there a statute of limitations on these crimes? The crimes of Greg Blair.
Well, if you can get away with them,
Bartosz, isn't it Bartosz?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the one.
You can get away with anything, mate.
I've tried my best.
Quick question. Going back to Craig Cook, did he not leave Sheffield?
Yeah, just recently got let go from Sheffield.
And then Lee Rickett took his place because he went from Kings Lynn, and then they bought, was it Aaron Summers went to King? There's been a whole merry-go-round of riders going here, there, and everywhere. But
it's silly season. It's playoff time.
Yeah, but there was even one or two people I've spoken to that have said, Craig Cook, I wonder if he'd be interested in coming to Berwick.
No, now because they've not got any meetings left.
No, I mean next year.
Yeah.
What's his thoughts on Berwick then as a track?
I know he's had his run-ins with it in the past, but at the same time, he knows how to ride it, and he knows how to ride it fast.
Yeah.
So deep down, I think he enjoys it, and being a motocrosser, he'll like the banking, he'll like when it chops up sometimes, and things like that. But yeah, that's what. I don't know. I don't get involved in his contract negotiations. I'm just a mechanic.
But you're being disingenuous there, because you're suggesting you're just a mechanic. You're obviously far more than the mechanic, because you're also like a mentor. You're somebody that's given the advice that, as I was saying to Greg earlier, it's like, there's young riders out there, up and coming riders, and who is it that actually tells them, gives them all the information that they need? Is it just a case of they sort of learn by their mistakes, or is it a case of we need people to come out and give them this information? Greg, I mean, you yourself want to get Gary Stead on, who again has got a lot of information to pass on to these youngsters, and the likes of Mitchell here is some of the information he's passing on must be invaluable.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm still kind of thrown by that disingenuous, because I've never heard that word before.
Get the dictionary out quick.
Yeah, and I was like, gonna use that, but probably in the wrong context. This pint is disingenuous. Yeah, like I spoke to Gary Stead at Bellevue, and like, not to give too much away because Gary will want to talk about it when he comes on, but he is like wanting to get involved and talk about things with in helping out the youngsters and stuff like that. Gary Stead's got a wealth of knowledge, and the thing is, he's a really friendly bloke as well. He'll chat away to you, no problem at all. Doesn't matter who you are. He'll have a crack with you. And I think we need more people in like that. I remember last year, I think it was the year before, maybe, listening to a podcast where they had, I can't remember what podcast it was, but Mark Loran was on, and he said that he would like to be involved in the youth thing, but he's just they've never asked him. And I don't see why, it's, you'll know this as well, Mitch. It's like when you go out at that time of the year for sponsorship, when you send off some emails or you go into stores or wherever or companies and visit them, all they're going to say is no. You know what I mean? It's not, I'm looking for some help this year, blah, blah, blah. Oh, sorry, we can't do that at the moment. That's all the rider's going to say. No, look, I'm kind of done with Speedway now, or I've got family commitments, whatever else. That's fine. I don't know why the whoever it is that's running these doesn't, because I mean, at the moment we've got Jason Crumpin helping out. He can't ask for much more experience than that. But at the same time, it's also good to have someone else's point of view. I mean, I know that he's a 3-time world champion, but then again, he's only human. He could miss out on little bits, or someone might not understand him the way that, say, Gary Stead would be able to speak to someone else. It's all about the personal aspect, not just about the knowledge. It's about how they come across. And I'm not saying that Crumpy can't do a good job of that, but why not just get as many of these guys out as possible? I mean, look at Berwick. We've got so much knowledge at that place. It's ridiculous when you see who cooked the Berwick enough of this chat. Oh, would you love to see?
I'm just here to stir the pot. I'm just here to stir the pot.
Just love to see it.
This isn't going to speak tonight now.
No, he's not. He's going to be in the huff. But no, I think
I'm going to let you know on some insider knowledge here.
Go on, then. Here we go.
I'm a qualified coach in Australia for riding and like the dietitian side and that of everything like that for motorsport.
Oh yeah.
The year I did my coaching, guess who did it the same year?
Crumpy.
Jason Crump and Mitch Shearer.
Oh.
We all did the course together, albeit Crumpy's Speedway resume looks a hell of a lot better than mine. But yeah, that's what we all learned the same things, and talking through the different aspects. Like if you run the full coaching day and things like that, without being big headed, I'm qualified to do that all the same. But like you say, it comes down to there's loads of people out there who could help. You just got to ask them, and as long as they can relay the information that is understandable to you, you can apply to yourself. You could get someone, say maybe even like Nicky Pedersen. His bikes always look super aggressive. He could tell you to do something. It might not work for you. It wouldn't work for you, Greg. I can tell you that straight off the bat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But Bartosz, you would listen to him and he'd put you on the right track, wouldn't he? Or so you tell him what to do.
And that's the thing. I've been in many tracks. You'll have seen this as well, Mitch. It's cringeworthy when you see someone, especially at a training day or something like that, or a second half, when you see someone who hasn't got a clue. They've been to Speedway for 40, 50 years. They haven't a clue how to ride it, and they're telling some kid what to do, and you just think you may have the future world champion there. You may have the ingredients of a future world champion sitting on that 250 or 125, and you haven't got a clue what you're talking about, and you're going to send them out there and going to ruin them. And you see it far too much. Anybody who, if there's parents watching this, or even just like a young kid who is starting out on it, you really need to. You don't want to be rude about it, but you really want to take it note of who you're taking your information off. Most guys in Speedway will give you a heads up on what's right and what's wrong. I would always say it if anyone ever asked me. I'm no expert, is what I usually like to start my thing with. I'm no expert, but I would do this because Mitchell Davies told me to do that, or Kevin Little, Theo Piper, they've told me that. So I'm just relaying some information onto you, but don't take it as gospel, because if you end up on your ass, no my fault. It's a little insurance policy.
I tell people, listen to what everyone's saying. Take from it what you feel where, don't just jump in, fully submerge yourself in what one person's saying. Take bits, you work out what works. You may take the opinion of 3 riders, form it to one, and you can get the setup that works for you. There's no wrong or right way, but it's just about getting the right mix, the right. I've had people text me while they're racing, saying the bike's doing this. I'm like, well, I can't see what the bike's doing. I'm going 100% on what you're saying.
Tell me
totally what you want to do, and I'll suggest something, but I can't see the track conditions. I can't see, even the weather conditions. And I was like, you talk to your teammates, talk to their mechanics, talk. You just got to talk. You got to ask questions. You want to progress, you got to ask the questions.
Exactly that, and everybody will be there to help you out. And if and that's the thing. And again, we really do need to focus on the future of the sport. Bringing these kids on. I do quite enjoy hanging about after a meeting and watching the kids go out. The academy, I like to watch them going round and see what they're doing. And to be fair, they'll come up to me especially at Berwick, which is mad. But the like, if you're standing there with your race suit on, they've just watched you racing. That's what they want to do. Them kids want to get into the Bullets team in a few years' time, and they'll come over and they'll ask you something. And the thing is, there's not a lot that you can say when it's a 125 or a 250 because the level that they're at. I haven't got a clue. Like, I don't even know how the 125s work. So it's hard work to
I'll let
say
you
that.
a little help. Like with the 125 or 250, like setting the bikes up is hard to do. I went to the 250 world title with Leon, and we tried some extravagant things at that title with setups, just trying to get it to work. But with the kids, it's more about body position, throttle control, reacting to certain situations, so that as they're progressing through, they want to do a Greg Blair and get the leg back and go to the dirt. They know how to handle it. They're not just going in blind.
Yeah.
Sitting on the back of the seat, thinking, "Oh, this is how he does it." It's the small aspects. So yeah, there you go, Greg. Next time someone asks you, just say, what's your body? What do you feel it's doing?
The other thing that it's like the way your hand is. We were talking about this at Armadale last year, and Scott Courtney was saying, he says the amount of youngsters that you see that, like, I will use this pepper grinder for example, is coming in, like coming at Edinburgh in a small track like that. If you've got your hand, like if you've got it over the edge, as far off the edge of the handlebar on the throttle, it just makes it easier for the wrist action for throttle control. Whereas if you've got it like that, it's harder to work the throttle. Just giving yourself them tiny little things, just to say to these lads, try that, because it's easier for you when your bike's turning. Your wrist can be, going like that. Whereas if it's just on and off, it's a bit more difficult. And it's tiny little things. And I mean, every time I go to a Speedway meeting, I get my mind blown just by the tiniest little thing when someone says something to you. It's just like you're always learning. Greg Hancock, up until the day he finished, I would say, would probably still be learning. You have to be still learning.
Ergonomics is the word you're looking for.
Ergonomics, there you go.
Ergonomics.
I forgot that word that you said before anyway, Paul.
Great.
Disingenuosity.
Put that in your notebook, mate. You need to get all these big words in your vocab.
What was that word again?
Disingenuous.
Disingenuous.
And I can spell it for you. IT. No. Just before we carry on anymore, I must admit, Mitchell, I'm very impressed because a Queenslander, you're so smart. I mean, I always thought that Queenslanders were, I mean, there's this joke, isn't there, about why did Castlemaine call it 4X? Because Queenslanders couldn't spell beer.
Oh wow!
I mean, it's just a bit of a bum rap on Queenslanders.
But see, as a Queenslander, we pass that on to the rest of Australia, especially New South Wales. We're like, no, that's the special part. We're blessed up in Queensland. That's why we're smart. We're good at rugby league and
yeah, and the Aussie rules football. You're quite good at that as well, and obviously the Speedway. And I believe, because I was saying to you backstage before we began that you are. Sorry. Let me get this right. You are from Townsville, which is where a former, very famous Berwick skipper is at right now, and there's a connection which I never knew anything about. I would like you to please explain.
So Cozza Smith, I'll take back all the things you said about him. About how he's, but yeah, he's married to my sister, so he lives in Townsville now, with my niece and nephew. But yeah, that's what I got to ride, in the same team as Cozza at Berwick in 2011.
Wow.
And also at the same time, comeback man Lee Complin was in the team. leading the way. So it was good to see him again at the tracks this year as well.
Yep. And Greg, what were you telling me about Cozza?
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
Did I say anything? Did I?
Aye, about the excursions to the referee's box.
Oh yeah, aye. Running up to, it was Mitch that told you that. It wasn't me.
Oh, sorry, Mitch. Right.
I've never met Cozza. I've never.
There we go.
Oh, just cut Greg out.
Oh, back again. No, I've never met Cozza before. That was when I sparked the dummy and left.
That was your hiatus from Speedway, mate.
Yeah, I was gone by then.
I still remember you would always come a lot of the time when I was racing there, because I'd be going out for a race or coming in from a race, and next minute I'd get a, "Oi, you," and there's Greg Blair, genuinely probably blowing me a kiss at the same time.
Pint in hand?
Yeah, always. And it's one of those ones, I'll catch you afterwards, Greg, and you will nowhere to be seen. Probably in the black and gold.
Yeah, probably. I mean that they were the days there. It was funny. I remember it was Scott Courtney saying to me, he's like, "This is years after I finished." He's like, "You just do not look like an ex-speed rider." He's like, "You just like you've not gotten fat and bald. What's going on?" And I'm like, I know. That was kind of like a little bit of a push to let's give it another go. Like, come on, let's have another shot at it.
Especially while they're still offering the Greg Blair haircuts.
You know. I know, well, they're famous now, aren't they?
Oh well, if I can grow my hair long enough, I'm game.
Are you going to go for it? Not like one of the dirty mullets that the rest of the Aussie boys are going for at the moment.
No, I'll roll a dirty mullet with the Greg Blair front.
You were pushing me a dirty mullet during lockdown. I remember that. That was before I had a haircut. That was when my hair was wild. That was getting out of control. That was like early Aaron Summers. That.
Hey, Aaron's all clean cut these days as well. That's what.
Yeah, he's got a mullet as well now.
Oh, he does. Yes,
and he's flying.
Yeah, he was on great form at Red Car.
He's doing very well. So, Mitch, just before we wrap up, start with the negative, and then we'll end on the positive. Can you give us your least favourite track in the UK?
Ooh.
Somewhere that you went and just were like, oh, not this one.
I don't want to come back here again. I'd say one that gave me trouble was Isle of Wight. Simply how rough it was. I'm not the biggest guy now, and I definitely wasn't when I was racing. So it was a workout and a half. So it was hard work.
Yeah.
I never hated it, but it was just one that I was like, damn, this is hard.
What? Is he flushing the toilet? He's not turned the microphone up. It's just goes to show we are absolutely live. Wait. Here we go. You wash your hands, Paul?
Yep. Yep, I did.
You forgot to turn the mic off.
No, I didn't. I didn't forget.
Now, does your toilet flush? Does it swirl to the left or the right?
Yeah. Well, this season. Where are you just now?
Sydney.
Yeah, Sydney. Yeah.
Go, Greg.
And coming off the negative track. Come on, then. Your favourite track. This must be difficult. Which one is your? Let's say, just for instance, you had to ride one more time. Oh, you had one last shot in a Speedway bike, and you could never ride again. This is kind of like that question. Remember, asked outside the Black and Gold that night with the dog. Except it's a little bit different.
I said it's nothing like that question. It's
nothing like that, but it's the same kind of thing. What if anyone wants to know about the dog question? You can ask me. We can off air because it's horrendous. Would you? What track would you ride if it was the last time ever?
Oh, that's tough. That is super tough. I enjoyed a lot of them. Can I pick several options? Is there?
You can give us some options so that we know we've got your favourite, and then yeah, go on then. Give us some options.
We go defunct track, Somerset. Still open, sort of. Swindon.
Yeah.
And then Pioneer Park in Ayr, Queensland. Absolutely.
All right.
Over a track. Just to throw you a curveball.
That was a little curveball.
Has just been taken over by Darcy Ward's dad, Brian. So he's rebuilding the Speedway up there. So it'll be good to see. It's one hell of a racetrack. I'm voting for Australian Speedway Grand Prix to be at that track.
That'd be good. No, it would be nice to see. And I'd maybe even I'd need to be knocked out, but I'd maybe even go over to Australia for that. Fingers crossed by then my sister's going to be moved back out to Australia, so I've got somewhere to stay for nothing.
It's all right. I've got parents out there, mate. You can go and stay with them.
Yeah.
They don't know about it yet.
They don't know about it, but if they're watching, then we're coming over, Mum and Dad Mitchell. Davey, you got me confused, man. Paul with the bloody Davey Mitchell. Jesus Christ! I know. And another one. What rider? Tell us your least favorite rider that you've ridden beside.
Oh, Jesus, Greg!
Come on, Mr. Nice Guy, Mr. Nice Guy, Davey Mitchell.
Yes. I can't do that.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
Well, fair enough. That's a forfeit. So
that's a 4, yeah.
A boot. There we go.
Yeah.
And and your favorite rider that you've been on track with, just favorite rider, person. I'll give it easy. I'll make it easy. You don't have to say me.
Oh, cheers, mate. I was gonna say I've had some great.
Luke Muffin off yellow. So there's nothing a given in this one, but you can bet your bottom dollar the box office player will be doing absolutely everything to throw the proverbial at the Fen Tiger Man should he need it.
Yeah, that's we've been treated to some fantastic action here tonight.
We really have.
And National League Speedway, it's pretty bloody entertaining.
It really is, and you only hope from a Bullet's perspective that Greg's dug deep into his toolbox, reached out and found a start out of somewhere and can just rip Snort away from the start, get his wheels in line. But we're about to find out in this one, James. Rev's going high, Star Marshal away, tapes rise. Who's made the best fist of it? It's Alex Spooner and white, but Ben Rathbone on the inside's made a brilliant start. Can he block the move of Alex Spooner? And here comes box office as well.
Yeah, Ben Rathbone making a rip snorting start there, getting the better of Alex Spooner, and Greg Blair is in third place at the moment. A 4-2 of the Bullets as things stand at the moment, but you just know that Greg Blair's going to throw absolutely everything that he has at Alex Spooner.
Comes Blair.
Here comes Greg Blair going for the big blast.
Quite there for Blair.
Not quite getting there. Alex Spooner hangs on into second place. Here it comes again, round bend 1 and 2. 2 laps to go.
There's Blair coming to the inside. Can he make it work on the corner? He's done him.
Bullets on a 5-1, which means that if it stays like this, or at least the worst they can do is a draw tonight. Absolute crucial.
My goodness.
Blair all out of shape. What on earth are you doing, Greg Blair? But Ben Rathbone out in front, looking so fast and so stylish. And if it stays like this, he's going to be the man of the match for me tonight. Ben Rathbone's been absolutely tremendous.
Bucking and rearing all over the shop, managing to stay on the bicycle.
High, wide and handsome indeed is Greg Blair.
Yes. Ben Rathbone stealing a march.
Yeah, Ben Rathbone. Reserve switch. What an astute bit of team management
It really was. And hats off to him. He made a brilliant start.
That wasn't me that put that on.
I was going to say, we just witnessed Greg Blair pass up the inside.
Rearing or something else and rearing.
Yeah, I tell you what, that commentary top notch from those pair. That was
They are brilliant, aren't they?
That's how you sell a speedway race. That is what you need. You need that emphasis. You need that excitement. But Greg, you could have made some bike changes to make that bike easier to ride. Just pointing it out.
Where were you that night? Probably helping the opposition. You were? Because that was Kent.
Oh, was it?
Mildenhall.
That was Mildenhall, mate.
Oh,
was...
oh yeah. So it was.
I was going to pop up the Bellevue clip where you passed both of them.
Oh, we've seen.
I can't find
that. Do not worry about that.
You clearly didn't tell Paul about the time when we got a 5-1, Greg.
Yeah, we did for Berwick Bandits.
For Berwick Bandits. Yeah.
And I have
when?
the 2009.
I think it was, yeah.
2009, and it's so funny because I've got the DVD of that meeting, and Dick Barry's doing the parade, and he's like, everybody's waving, and I'm that deep in conversation with Mitch that I never even hear my name and wave at the crowd. I'm just like standing speaking to him still, like we're that deep in conversation because we're both at 6 and 7. And I never even turned around to wave. It was just like, yeah. Greg there. Yeah. Oh. But yeah, that was a lovely little 5-1. I think I've got a photo of it somewhere. I'll have to dig that out. But what was that? Sorry, Paul.
Apologies, Mitchell. You were going to tell us who your sort of favourite rider was, and then Greg said you don't have to. Don't have to. Obviously, he is your favourite one. But who would be your second favourite?
To ride with, probably Leon. Riding with Leon was just together, like such a buzz. And at the same time, there's a little bit of bragging rights in it. Even though we were teammates, it was a who beat who to the first corner, who was on what line, who was quicker off the corner, and he was. A young kid, and we were just bouncing everything off, but like building ego at the same time, to build confidence on the bike.
Mm-hmm. I'm mentally scarred by the dog question.
What about the swapping minds question? That's even better.
Yeah, that was even better. That one.
That's next level. You need an after hours show to reveal these to the people, Greg.
That's a pay-per-view kind of show, that, because there's no way that you could just have someone stumbling across that. I would need to vet them. I was
gonna say, Paul, your account would be getting blocked, deleted, buried in a hatchet somewhere if you heard.
Dave, listen, I've done far worse. I remember once doing a disco live, and I kept getting a message from YouTube. You are playing copyright material. Your channel would be closed down, and I just ignored it. And about 20 minutes later, gone. Oh God, it's gone.
Bloody hell!
Oh, yeah.
No, but so I think that's an hour and a half. It's flown by, and we'll definitely get you back on the show again, Mitch. Thanks for coming on. It's been a great chat, and give my love to Donna.
Give my love to Ollie, and say hey to Sarah.
I don't know. Sarah might be watching. I doubt it. I'm going to get Ollie out for a walk now, and hopefully we'll see you in the not too distant future. I'm going to need a good mechanic for the old Bullets playoffs. So.
Yeah, I've heard something. I think a message may have appeared on my phone regarding this. Not too sure.
Yeah. The Bullets playoffs.
There's been talk that I could see myself down at Berwick a few more times this year.
Well, let's hope so. It would be lovely to see you, and of course, lovely to see Donna.
I might have to come back to collect some goods as well.
Oh yes, aye, yeah. Aye. Well, there you go. You're not sparring.
I was going to say, is that the one in Paul's picture?
No. Oh, that's a different photo.
That's a different photo, but the one when he's in the workshop.
No, I think that was taken that long ago. It wasn't even thought about then.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, that's actually what we're discussing there. that'll be getting its last outing on Saturday, and then sent down to our mutual friend, and then it's ready to it's ready to get all sorted. There it is. You can't even see it. There's probably not even an engine in that. Oh, there is.
Oh, there is.
There is an engine in there. Yeah, it might be.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? Can't tell. But yeah, it's getting its last outing on Saturday, and then it's going to be getting all
Paul to polish
tuned
it
up.
up before it gets sent away.
Aye, Paul, go and give that bloody engine a polish.
Okay. Okay, son.
No bother, Dad. So, lads, I'm going to shoot off and get the dog walked, and we'll see you at a Speedway track so I'll see you there Saturday, Paul. Are you going, or are you musicking it?
No, definitely going on Saturday, and looking forward to standing on the third bend where I'll be able to hear the Shouty brothers from the first bend without any
No
difficulty.
doubt about that at all.
Yeah, I was going to say should be a cracking meeting, shouldn't it, against Scunthorpe?
Yeah, should be. Yeah. You making it down, Mitch, at all? Are you?
Hey, I don't know. I'll check the weather forecast. I don't like driving down for rain.
It's to be beautiful all week.
Oh, is it?
Beautiful all week.
I may even venture down early for a chippy on the beach first.
Oh, that'd be lovely. And I have heard rumours of someone riding at number 6 that would love a little hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it should be a good meeting, and always enjoy coming down the Berwick, and yeah, well, you never know. There may be a championship riders champion there. You know, you got two representatives tomorrow night.
Oh yes, aye.
Yes, I think Leon and both Bomber in it. So
aye. That'll be interesting to watch that at the BSN. Hopefully that all goes ahead because the weather. Well, was it weather or what? I don't know what happened.
I think it was bad weather early in the day, and then track work that didn't go to plan, or you know, it was too soft for them to get them like equipment on the track again.
Yeah. Well.
Either way, I'm glad I didn't make the journey.
Yeah.
Personally, it's a long drive.
It is.
It is for Glasgow, certainly. Well, lads, we'll see you hopefully at the weekend, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you. Thanks for having us on, and yeah.
See you again.
Enjoyed the show.
I'm sure they will.
Many thanks, Mitchell. Well done, son. See you Saturday.
Cheers, Dad. See you. Cheers, lads.